I'm Nei Hill and welcome to Yamamoto Nutrition, and today I want to talk about back development. Now, back is one of those muscle groups which enforces a lot of muscle fiber activation just because the sheer amount of muscle tissue that is emphasized in that back area. Now obviously exercise selection is going to target different areas of your back, but generally when I choose exercises for back, I tend to choose exercises where I feel that I'm targeting a large area of recruitment and not just focusing on one particular area. That being said, yes, for some people who are underdevelopment or have underdevelopment in certain areas of your back, you may want to be targeting certain areas. What do I mean by that? So if you're weak within your upper scapular area, then of course you could look at performing exercises which are targeting that area more than other areas. But that being said, in general, I tend to change my body composition, or I will instill or enforce a more three-dimensional approach to my training with my exercise engagement. Now, what do I mean by that? If you look at incline dumbbell row, that exercise, when I see a lot of people performing it, tend to generalize and focus purely on the upper scapular area. However, when I perform that exercise, I perform it with a hyper row. So that basically means as I'm pulling up through my scapular area, I'm also throwing my chest off the pad, engaging my lower back at the same time. So I'm able to target upper and lower back all at the same time and not just focus on one particular area. However, if I do have clients which are weak in certain areas, then of course my exercise selection that I will design into their program will be designed purely for those. Okay, so I'm putting my lifting straps on at the moment. So I'm a big, massive advocate in using accessories which are going to allow you to concentrate and put your focus onto the exercise that you're performing and not get detracted because a secondary origin is becoming weak. So what do I mean by that? Obviously, we know that when we train back, there's a potential of your biceps and forearms coming into play. So it's extremely important that you isometrically connect within your back to try and limit the engagement of your biceps and also detract from your forearms blowing up as well. However, as we go into a progressive overload state, which we should be, that's the environment you're trying to create, and it doesn't make any difference whether you're doing low repetition training, medium or high. We're trying to incorporate and focus obviously on that attention to detail when it comes to progressive overload. And there's different forms of progressive overload. Don't just look at progressive overload in the environment which are created by lifting heavy weight for low repetition, just like a week 1 Y3T workout. So at some point I'm going to potentially find that my grip is going to fail, so I always use my lifting straps when I'm doing back. Pretty much on 90% of all my back exercises, maybe even 100% of my back exercise, I'm always going to be using my wrist straps. Some people will say they don't believe in wrist aid because at some point, if they are using the aid of wrist wraps, then they're potentially not going to increase the strength of their grip. But that to me is very contradicting, because as you force that environment become stronger and sustain your level of strength for a longer duration of time, then your grip is always going to be your weakest point. It's always going to be that area which potentially is going to detract you away from mentally and physically being in line with the exercise. So for me, I'm going to be using my wrist straps. I'm going to start warming up with my first exercise. My first exercise is one of my favorite back exercises, actually bent over dumbbell row. So if you ever see any of the programs, or you work with me in the past, or you're on the sub-site, or you're on the Yamamoto Nutrition website, and you see me talking about bent over dumbbell row, this is exactly what I mean. It's both dumbbells at the same time. It's not independent. It's not single arm row. It is bent over dumbbell row, performing the exercise with both hands at the same time. Okay, so when I perform this exercise, I'm going to bend over, I'm going to sink my ass pretty low. I'm going to make sure that my lower back and my rhomboid area is engaged. I'm going to make sure I'm stable, and I'm also very tight in my core, so I'm protecting my lower back. You'll notice as well when I perform this exercise, I perform this exercise where the dumbbells are basically going through a straight line. So my biomechanics and my range of motion is going to be in line with the movement. I'm going to disconnect my shoulders. I'm not going to bring my dumbbells forward. Whilst I power through the movement, so I pull the dumbbells from the bottom right up into the tight surface of my torso, I'll be throwing my chest into it. That allows me to get more muscle fiber activation taking place within my back area. Right, if you need to rest pause, this is the rest pause position. I'm going to go back into the position again, I'm going to perform the exercise, and you'll notice that when I go into the rest pause position, the dumbbells are always at the lowest point because it allows me to protect my back as I come up to rest very slightly, okay? Back in, 1, 2, 3, down, up. Okay, so I'm a massive advocate of warm-up sets. Remember, warm-up sets are there to prime and neurologically allow you to fire. Make sure your brain training with the movement, and obviously get some blood, some activation, get some synovial fluid, and also allow those joints to start getting some mobilization taking place, okay? So I've just done my first warm-up set. I'm progressively going to go heavier with my warm-up set. So as I go up in weight, I bring the repetitions down. I do not want to pre-fatigue myself. Remember, I'm priming and I'm warming myself up. I don't want to be in a position by the time I finish my warm-ups, I'm already pre-fatigued. I want to use my strength, my power, my mental stability, and my energy to be focused into my working sets, not my warm-up sets.